Right, okay, so I thought I'd do a question for you guys that involves using the quadratic formula, just so you can see me doing it. Here's a question from the 2017 paper 2, question 16, and it looks like this. A regular picture of, let me say that again. A rectangular picture measuring 9 centimeters by 13 centimeters is placed on a rectangular piece of card. The area of the card is 270 square centimeters. There is a border of X centimeters wide on all sides of the picture. And they show us this here. Okay, so a couple of things to know. First of all, this distance here is X, but that distance here is also X. And this distance here is also X. And this distance here is also X. In other words, this X, this border is the same all the way around. It's always X wide. The other thing to note is we're told the area of the entire piece of card. So we're told the area, the length times the width. So that's interesting to note at this stage, that this is going to be a question that involves area in some way. The very first part of this question says, write down an expression for the length of the card in terms of X. Okay, so the length of the card in terms of X. So let's have a look at that. And if I scroll down here, right. Okay, so let's have a think. Question A1. What is the length of the piece of card? Well, it's definitely 13. Okay, so it definitely involves this length of 13 here, plus X, this distance, but also this distance here, plus another X. So if I simplify that, the distance is 2X plus 13. Okay? Okay, so if we look at part 2, we are told, hence show that 4x squared plus 44x minus 153 equals 0. And this is where a lot of students would just turn off and just think, okay, I don't know where those numbers have come from. Don't panic about that. Let's just have a little think. Think about what we know. We have been told what the area of the card is. So the area is 270 centimeters squared. Is there another way to find out the area of a rectangle? Yeah, you times the length by the width. And in fact, we've been told, we've worked out the length. We know the length of the piece of card already. So if we knew what the width was, we could also find out the area. So that's the length. Again, that's from part A. We've worked it out. What do you think the width would be? And I encourage you to pause the video here and just check that you get it right. Okay, so hopefully you've realized that the width is going to involve 9, and it's actually going to be 2x plus 9. Again, that's going to be an x on one side, an x on the other side, and then the 9 in length. The width here that's noted. So x plus 9 plus x would be 2x plus 9. And I'm forming an equation here. I'm saying this times this is the area. So I could write the word area here, but actually we know what the area is. We know the area is 270. So we formed an equation. We can work this out. Again, you're well versed in expanding brackets, so you guys will know how to expand this. I'll do this quite quickly. I would say 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times 9 would be 18x. 13 times 2x would be 26x. And 13 times 9. It is a calculator paper, but you could work this out. It's going to be 130. Take away one lot of 13. So that's going to be 117. And that's going to equal 210. 270 rather. Now we can simplify this. We can collect together the x terms. So 18x plus 26x would be 44x. And what we could do is subtract 270 from both sides of this equation. And what that'll do is, well, for a start, it'll give us a 0 on this side of the equation. And on this side, well, 117 take away 270 is going to be negative 153. Okay, so you'll see there that that's what we've been asked to show. So we've done that now. Again, if you're just wondering why did I subtract 270 from both sides, it was just because I knew the question wanted me to have equals 0. Yeah, if you look at the question, it's this expression on the left equals 0. So again, that's your clue that actually you don't want 270 to be on that side. You want to subtract it and have it on the other side. So that's just done this part. Okay, so let's have a look at the very next question. And this is where the quadratic formula comes in. It says, calculate x, the width of the border, give your answer to one decimal place. Now, the good news is, if you got to question A part 2 and you had a panic attack and couldn't do any of this, you would still be able to have a go at question B. Because question B, all you need is this very final step, 4x squared plus 44x take 153 equals 0, and they give you that in part 2. So again, if you have that panic attack, don't worry, you can still get these 4 marks for doing the quadratic formula. They've given you what you need as part of the question. Okay, so to find x, we need to solve this equation. Now, our options are to factorize, but again, looking at these numbers, I'm not sensing that this is going to factorize particularly easily. So we're going to use the quadratic formula. Okay, again, you are given the quadratic formula for the National 5 test. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. And just remember, here, this is A. The coefficient of x squared is A. The coefficient of x is 44, and that's B. And then the C value is minus 153. Okay, and that's the C value, the constant term. So let's substitute this in. We want minus 44 plus or minus, we've got B squared would be 44 squared minus 4 times A is 4 times C is 153. Okay, and it's important that you get the negative there. And that's all over 2A, which in this case is 2 times A, which is 2 times 4. Okay, now it's plus or minus, okay? So that means there's going to be 2 values of x, one where we add the square root, and one where we subtract. This is where you're going to get your calculator out. You're going to be clever about how you do this, okay? Make good use of what your calculator can do. It can do fractions. So we can do minus 44. I'm going to do the plus one first. So plus 44 squared minus 4 times negative 153 all over 2a, which would be 2 times 4. So again, I've just typed that into the calculator. This is what it looks like. You hit equals. Okay, now what it's done is it's simplified the surd for me, but I can just hit the SD button. Okay, you might have as FD on your calculator, and that's given me 2.77. Okay, so I might just write all that down. 2.77647269. Sorry, 679. Okay, I'll just write all that down. That's fine. Now, what we can do is we would need to do the negative version. Now, rather than type all this out again, if I just go back to my question, I can just use the arrow keys just to navigate to where I drew, where I put this plus sign. So if I hit delete there, that'll delete the plus sign, turn it into a negative, and that's going to give me a hit equals, and that'll give me my other answer. Okay, so again, it's simplified the surd, hit SD, and it's given me negative 13.7764, etc. Okay, two things. The question, if we go back to it, says give your answer to 1 decimal place. So I'm just going to do that here. X equals 2.8 centimeters. Now, what we could do is give this to 1 decimal place, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to identify this as my answer. And if you're wondering why am I ignoring this answer here, well, think back to the context of the question. This question is about a photo frame. We are now saying that X is 2.8 centimeters, which I think makes sense. Yeah, if this is 13, then this being 2.8 is reasonable. This length can't be a negative because of the context of the question. A photo frame can't have a border that is negative in length. All this negative is telling us is if we were to plot this graph, if we were going to do the graph of y equals 4x squared plus 4x minus 153, that's telling you that you're going to have a graph that looks like this, that comes down, crosses at negative 13, has this y-intercept way down here. It comes up like that. It's not the best sketch I've ever done. Okay, so you can see here the roots of the graph would be around here at minus 13.7, and we'd have roots here as well at 2.8, around 2.8. We'd cross the y-axis at minus 153. Okay, now for this question, all we care about are the positive values. All we care about are the positive values because we're talking about an object that exists for real in real life that has a positive value rather than negative length. And that's your answer. Okay, so x equals 2.8 centimeters would be your full answer there.